Hi, I'm Jill Chivers from Shop Your Wardrobe.
And I'm Imogen Lamport from Inside Out Style.
Today we're talking about breaking the rules.
Yes, now, many of my blog readers will know that I will tell you a lot of rules, but in fact some people say, it's all about rules and I want to break them, and style is about breaking rules in many ways.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, when I look back at photos of myself, pre what I know today, I am horrified by what I used to wear.
That gold top comes to mind.
Oh yes, gold velour polo top, not the most flattering garment,
It was the 80s though.
I think it was the 90s even. But I didn't know my rules.
Yeah. And
so therefore I was unknowingly breaking the rules.
Yeah.
And in fact it was probably around the era where I started going, this isn't, I probably saw that photo of me in a gold velour top and went, not looking so hot.
Yeah.
What is it that would actually work for me? So it would have been one of those things when I look back at photos and going, well, why isn't that working and why don't I look good?
Yeah.
And what is it that I need to understand about my unique body that makes clothes work for me?
Yeah, there's got to be some universal principles that apply to looking good, and the good news is there are those universal principles, and what we're talking about in terms of breaking the rules is doing so masterfully, not doing so without any knowledge, not doing so in ignorance. I think some of the best dressed women are those that are clearly not following a formula, and so in that respect they are breaking the style rules as such. But they are adhering, I guess, to a higher rule, to a higher purpose, which is expression of self and what makes me feel great, as well as look great. And you can break the rules and still look terrific. I think it depends on what the essence is of your style. And that personal style, that expression of self, to me is the difference that makes the difference.
Absolutely. So it's one of those things, like, I can teach my clients the rules, but then I also talk to them about how they may want to break them.
Yeah.
So when you're breaking them in a knowing way. You're breaking them with knowledge. So you're saying, okay, this skirt is not going to make my hips look smaller, but I don't care because I love the construction, the pattern, the fabric, and I am aware that this is
I feel like a goddess in it.
And and I feel great, and it's expression of my personality.
Yes.
Versus I'm wearing this skirt, I don't actually love it.
Yeah.
And
it works on paper, but not on my actual body or in my actual life.
Or it's not an expression of me.
Yeah.
So I always say it's like, know your rules, work within your framework, but break your rules when you are expressing your personality.
Yeah, with intention and consciousness. And I think back to my 20s when I had no knowledge of these underlying principles, and I really quite liked the way that I dressed then. I was working for big corporate, I was working for Deloitte, and I felt I had some degree of personal expression in that, but I was pretty much in a corporate setting. When I learned the rules, there was a period of about 3 or 4 years where I felt I was the most unstylish I have ever been in my entire life, because that's all I was doing was following the rules. Like, my eyes had been open, the scales had fallen away from my eyes, and I knew what worked for me, but I was missing that je ne sais quoi, that essential quality of what was me. And when I started to introduce that back into the way that I dressed around my mid-30s, I actually felt like I refound my style kind of after the rules.
And I think it's one of those things is, especially when you're an image consultant and you learn the rules and you think, I have to stick to them because otherwise people won't believe me, and then you actually get a bit too scared because you think, well, but where do I go? And I think it's then understanding your personal style, your personality, discovering your signature style, and then when you've got all those elements together, that's when you have true style.
Exactly. And the Women of Advanced Style, which is a New York City based blog that captures images of women, I think 60 plus, who are dressing to express their essential, beautiful, magnetic selves. And a lot of those women clearly are not following rules, they're not dressing to a formula, but man, oh man, do they look fantastic.
And I think it's because what they're doing is dressing to their personality.
Yes.
So whenever you are dressing to your personality, now whether it's more feminine, whether it's more rebellious even for some people, it's the it's the finger up at society in the way that they're dressing. It doesn't matter what it is. It's that you're expressing elements of your personality, and that's why it works.
Yeah, and we are attracted to people who dress in that way, that they're not ticking off the list. they are dressing to something that has, I guess, a higher meaning and a more personal significance to them.
And it makes them very authentic, and I think
Yeah.
that's the thing is, so it's know your rules and then know how to break them, because you might not want to break them all the time, or you
Yeah.
might want to break them only in certain ways.
Yeah.
But we don't have to stick to that classic formula, the very Tim Gunn must have a classic white shirt. You know, I personally would never wear one.
Neither of us have a classic white shirt.
And, you know, nobody has to have one unless that's your style personality.
Yeah.
So, you know, it used to be, I feel, that in the old days with style, there was very much a formula and it was very classic, and if you didn't fit in that, you weren't considered to be stylish. But these days, I really think because we now have learnt we can express ourselves more broadly, that style can be created in so many different ways that we can play with the rules, we can play with our styles, we can work out how to make things work for us, rather than feeling we are limited to a certain very strict set of guidelines that we must never ever veer from.
Well, Dress for Success was the ultimate dressing to a formula, and that came out in an era where the definition of success was very narrow.
Yes.
It was pretty much one thing and it fitted into this box, and that's what success looked like. And now we get to determine for ourselves what is success, and there are so many different ways of looking at having a successful life that have nothing to do with wearing navy or a navy suit. Not that there's anything wrong with navy suits, but we get to choose.
Yes.
And the definition of success and therefore personal style is so much broader and, in my view, richer.
Yeah. So if you want to go out and break the rules, do so. But first we say, get to know your rules.
Yes.
Know what actually suits you physically, but then play with it.
Yeah.
Move outside those boundaries. Don't feel that you have to be so in those rules that you can never veer from them.
Yeah.
It's the playful element of dressing and the creative element of dressing that comes in when you start breaking your rules. That's when it becomes really fun.
Yeah, and clothes should be fun.